Okay, so Samsung has launched this brand new 5G smartphone that is super premium, and it comes with flagship features like a 200 megapixel camera, 120-watt fast charging, and even IP68 water resistance. But what's even better is the price, because this is just 12,990 rupees on Amazon. And for that price, I think this phone offers way more than what other brands are offering. In fact, I've been testing this phone for about 2 weeks now, and there are 3 things that I really like about this phone. First is definitely the display, because this has an AMOLED screen which is not only bright, but also has great colors and contrast. The second thing I like is the battery life, because this has a 5000 mAh battery with 25-watt fast charging, and it lasts me a full day. The third thing I like is the in-hand feel, because this is very comfortable to hold thanks to the rounded corners and flat frames. So these were the first impressions of this phone. But if you ask me if I would recommend this phone to my friends or family, the answer would be no. And here's why. Now, when I bought this phone, I did have some expectations, since this was Samsung's latest launch. But after using this phone, I realized that this is basically last year's phone. And I don't mean that in a bad way, though. For example, the design, the camera specs. The everything is pretty much the same as last year's model, except that this has the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 chip instead of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 now. I'm not saying that the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 is a bad chip. It's actually pretty powerful and handles most of the things perfectly fine. But there are a few differences between this and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. For starters, 8 Plus Gen 1 has an extra Cortex X2 core, which improves performance in high-end applications. Second, the 8 Plus Gen 1 has an improved GPU, which means that the gaming experience on the 8 Plus Gen 1 will be better. And finally, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 is also more power efficient, and hence you can expect slightly better battery life on the Galaxy A54. So if you're thinking about buying this phone, then let me tell you that there are 2 things that you should know. First is the 200 megapixel camera. This is the first mid-range smartphone from Samsung with a 200 megapixel main camera. And not only that, this also has optical image stabilization on the main camera. And I think these 2 factors make a huge difference in terms of the kind of photos that you get. For example, when you take a photo in auto mode, the phone uses pixel binning to combine multiple pixels into one large pixel for better light absorption. And this gives you images that look like this. They look good, but they're not exactly detailed because of pixel binning. But every now and then, when the lighting conditions are perfect, the phone takes photos at full 200 megapixels, and the kind of detail you get in those photos is actually amazing. Now, this doesn't happen all the time. Like I said, the lighting needs to be perfect, and sometimes the photos look like this because of HDR processing. But when it does happen, the level of detail you get is really good. Not only that, the phone also takes macro photos with the main camera, which is something that I really like. And for the most part, these photos look really good too. And we compared the camera of the Galaxy A54 against the Realme 10 Pro Plus. And while the Realme phone has a higher megapixel count, the Galaxy A54 still manages to hold its ground. Now, the ultra-wide camera on the A54 is okay-ish. It's a 12 megapixel shooter with a 123-degree field of view. It takes decent photos, but nothing extraordinary. Same with the front camera. It's a 32 megapixel shooter, and it takes decent selfies. The videos are limited to 4K 30 FPS from both front and back camera, and they look like this. Again, nothing extraordinary, but good enough as for night photos. The A54 handles most of them fairly well, especially with the main camera. It has night mode, but it's not like the kind of night mode that you see on flagship phones where the sky is filled with stars. Yeah, it's more like a brighter version of the auto mode shots. The ultra-wide camera, on the other hand, doesn't look good. The color science is completely different. There's a lot of noise as well. The second thing that you should know before buying this phone is the performance. So this runs on One UI 5.1 based on Android 13, and overall I have no complaints about the software. It's smooth, it's clean, and it works well. But what I want to talk about is the performance aspect. Like I mentioned earlier, this has the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 accelerated mobile platform, which is basically an overclocked version of the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 made specifically for gaming. And this chip handles most of the things really well. You can play Call of Duty at max settings with high frame rate, and there are no issues whatsoever. PUBG. Also runs smoothly at high graphics and ultra frame rates in games like Genshin. Impact run decently at the highest settings. But the problem starts when you play games like Apex Legends. See, this is a 60 FPS game, but the Galaxy A54 only supports 30 FPS gameplay. And not only that, there's also a little bit of stutter in the gameplay. Now this could be because of optimization, or it could also be because of the lack of a higher refresh rate screen. Yeah, this has a 120Hz screen, but it's not LTPO3, so the refresh rate is only changed in 2 levels. It's either 120Hz or 60Hz. So this also affects the gaming experience. Now, I'm not saying that you won't be able to play games on this phone or it's a deal breaker, but I'm just pointing out that if you're a hardcore gamer, then you should probably look for other options, such as the Moto H40 Pro, which has the same Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 accelerated chip, but it comes with a 144Hz screen, and that would make the gaming experience a lot better. All in all, the Galaxy A54 is a decent offering from Samsung in the mid-range segment, I mean. It's got a nice big AMOLED screen with a 120Hz refresh rate, a decent set of cameras, and good enough performance for most users. If you're someone who clicks a lot of photos and wants the best possible detail in those photos, then this phone is worth considering. But if you're someone who plays a lot of games, then maybe you should consider other options, like the Moto H40 Pro or the Nothing Phone 2. Anyways, I want to know your opinion about this phone. Would you buy it? Let me know in the comments below, and that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, press that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.